The Council of Apex had dismissed her application with barely concealed amusement. Zara could still hear their chittering laughter echoing through the crystalline halls of the station as she'd left that morning, her rejection notice burning in her pocket like a brand of shame. Humans are not suited for the wilderness trials, the head arbiter had declared, his 6 eyes blinking in sequential patterns that his species used to express pity. Your kind lacks the natural weaponry, the enhanced senses, the predatory instincts. We cannot in good conscience send you to certain death. But Zara had not traveled 3 star systems to accept no for an answer. The wilderness trials were the galaxy's most prestigious survival challenge, a rite of passage for warriors from 100 predator species. Those who survived the 7-day ordeal on the moon of Krathix earned not just respect, but a seat at the council itself. For humanity, still considered soft newcomers to the galactic stage, such recognition would change everything. So when the transport left that evening, Zara was on it, hidden among cargo containers bound for the trial grounds. If they wouldn't let her compete officially, she would prove herself anyway. The moon's surface was a nightmare ecosystem deliberately designed to test the strongest. Purple bioluminescent forests hid creatures with crystalline fangs. The ground itself shifted and moved with tectonic instability. Temperatures plummeted to deadly levels after dark. This was where the galaxy's apex predators came to prove their dominance. Zara had been on the surface for barely 6 hours when she heard the sounds, high-pitched keening that cut through the twilight air like distress signals. Following the noise through dense undergrowth, she found them, 3 cubs no larger than earth dogs, their fur striped with bioluminescent patterns that pulsed with fear. They were Krathix stalkers, one of the deadliest predator species in known space, and they were alone. The largest cub, Storm, she would later learn his clutch name was, snarled at her approach, his tiny fangs bared. Even as infants, stalker cubs possessed claws that could rend plasteel. But Zara saw past the aggression to the terror beneath. These cubs were separated from their pack, vulnerable, and night was falling fast. "Easy," she whispered, crouching low and keeping her hands visible. "I'm not going to hurt you." Storm's siblings huddled behind him, their keening growing more desperate as the temperature began to drop. Zara knew the statistics. Krathix cubs couldn't regulate their body temperature until they matured. Without their pack's warmth, they would die before dawn. She also knew that any rational being would leave them. Stalker adults were fiercely protective. Interfering with their young was a death sentence. And besides, these cubs' parents had probably entered the trials themselves. They were test competitors, perhaps, or had been abandoned deliberately as part of some species-specific ritual she didn't understand. Zara pulled off her thermal jacket anyway. "Come here," she said softly. "I know I'm the scary alien, but I'm warm and you need that right now." Storm slashed at her outstretched hand, drawing blood. Zara didn't flinch. She'd been clawed by worse during her years training in Earth's most dangerous environments. Slowly, carefully, she wrapped her jacket around the smallest cub, who was shivering so violently its bioluminescent stripes were flickering. The warmth did what words couldn't. Within minutes, all 3 cubs were pressing against her, drawn by her mammalian body heat. Storm remained the most resistant, watching her with suspicious amber eyes even as he accepted her warmth. Then the real cold set in. Krathix nights were legendary for their brutality. Temperatures plunged to -60 degrees in minutes. Zara had planned for this. Her gear included a personal shield generator capable of creating a thermal bubble. But the device was rated for 1 person, maybe 2 in an emergency, not 4. She activated it anyway, watching the power gauge drop faster than it should. The shield wouldn't last the night at this output level. Her emergency beacon was in her pack, but calling for rescue meant admitting defeat. Admitting the council was right about humans being too weak. Storm seemed to sense her distress. The cub made a low rumbling sound and pressed closer, his siblings following suit. They arranged themselves in a tight formation around her, their combined body heat helping to reduce the energy drain on her shield. "Smart cubs," Zara murmured, running her fingers carefully through Storm's fur. He didn't bite this time. The night stretched on endlessly. Zara's equipment alarms chirped warnings about the failing shield. Frost began forming on the purple vegetation outside their protective bubble. Through it all, she monitored the cubs, making sure they stayed warm. stayed breathing, stayed alive. At some point during the darkest hours, Storm crawled fully into her lap. His trust finally won. The other cubs followed, and they slept beneath her shield in a pile of fur and scales and very human determination. Dawn came with unexpected company. A full stalker pack emerged from the forest. Adults, massive and terrifying, their eyes glowing with predatory intelligence. Zara tensed, preparing for the attack that would surely come. She'd interfered with their young. By galactic law and natural instinct, they had every right to kill her. The pack leader approached, massive shoulders rippling with muscle. Storm chirped and bounded toward it, his mother, Zara realized. The adult stalker examined her cubs carefully, then turned those terrible eyes on Zara. For a long moment, nothing happened. Then the pack leader lowered her head, touching her muzzle to Zara's forehead in what she somehow knew was a gesture of profound respect. 2 days later, when Zara was escorted, not dragged, escorted back to the council station, it was by the stalker pack themselves. Storm rode on her shoulders, purring. The cub's mother walked at her side like an honor guard. The head arbiter's expression was unreadable as Zara entered the chamber. "You were not authorized to enter the trials," he began. "No, sir," Zara agreed. "You broke 17 regulations." "Yes, sir. And yet—" The arbiter gestured to the stalkers waiting outside. "The Krathix pack has submitted a formal testimony. They say you protected their young at risk to your own life. They say you maintained your shield through the coldest night of the season, depleting your own resources to save cubs who, by your species standards, were dangerous predators." The arbiter's eyes did that sequential blinking pattern again, but this time it wasn't pity. They say the human was not weak at all. Zara felt Storm's weight settle more comfortably on her shoulders, his purring vibrating through her bones. "With all respect, sir," she said quietly, "I tried to tell you that." The council chamber fell silent. Then one by one, representatives from a dozen predator species rose from their seats, their various physiologies all expressing the same thing. Recognition. Humanity had finally earned its place among the apex.